Okay, so if I said name the bike, you'd say GSXR. But which GSXR? You'd have a 50-50 chance of being right. It could be a 600, it could be a 750. And while I'm stood in the way of this badge on the back, you'd really never know. The 750, for a number of years, has been at the top of many people's shopping list when looking for a high-performance sports machine. But more and more people are now moving down a bracket to the 600 class. And it's fair to say that Suzuki have never really had a serious contender. That was until 1997, when they released this, the GSXR 600. It really is very similar to the 750 in many ways. This twin spar aluminium frame is in fact exactly the same. The swing arm, however, is different, hasn't got the big brace across it that you'll find on the bigger bike, and it means the whole geometry is different and gives it a shorter wheelbase. In fact, the shortest wheelbase of any of the 600cc sports class. Front suspension is different. Here we've got 45mm shower suspension, adjustable for rebound and preload, and at the back, everything you'd expect to find on a high-performance machine. Monoshock with remote reservoir, and that's fully adjustable for preload, rebound damping and compression. And if you can't find something to suit you the way you ride in that lot, then quite frankly I should give up. Perhaps the most striking similarity is of course the distinctive GSXR shape and the bodywork. It is, believe it or not, exactly the same. So how does it all work? Well, the short answer is very, very well. You've got 600cc's of inline 4-cylinder, which Suzuki claim produces 104 brake horsepower, and it'll take you to a top speed of 156 miles per hour. The engine is very, very revvy, very buzzy, and the red line doesn't appear till an incredible 13,500 RPM, and you really do need to be pushing it at over 7,000 RPM to get anything like decent performance. I reckon you could plonk a non-sports bike rider on this, and they'd quite happily tootle around all day at maybe below 6,000 RPM. They'd bring it back and they'd wonder what all the fuss was about, because below that you really don't get any kind of performance. But if you're willing to push the revs hard, it really does come to life. So how does it compare to other 600s? You'd have to say it's not as comfy as Honda's CBR 600, and it hasn't got the same smooth power delivery as Kawasaki's ZZR 600. But if you're into more racy lines and a more racy riding position and you're prepared to work the engine hard, then it's a good choice. Talking of riding positions, something that you'll notice when you get on one is if you're not riding like this with your head on the tank and you're a little more upright like this, then it's actually difficult to see the speedo and the rev counter because you're looking through the top part of this clear screen here, and if that was a tinted screen you'd have no chance of seeing what was going on. Just that's the way the curvature of the front is, and it's such a racy look that it's a small price to pay, I suppose. Talking of racy looks, if you want to go for the full racetrack look, you can do this little trick. Pop your key under there, release the latch and remove the pillion pad, and you can replace that with a rear cowling there. Converts it into a single seat and makes it look a bit more racetracky. And let's face it, you wouldn't want too many people to spend too long sat on that, would you? And while we're at the back end, if you get turned on by rubber, you've got a rubber fetish and you're into big fat rear tyres, then you'll like the 180 section fitted to the rear of the GSXR. I think it's fair to say that the GSXR hasn't exactly taken the 600 sports bike class by storm, not because it's overpriced. £7,200 compares very favourably with everything else in its class. It's probably because it's a bit more radical, it looks more racy, it looks more like a race rep, more of a race thoroughbred. And because of this and because of its motor, it requires a slightly different riding technique. You really have to work the engine quite hard, keep the revs up to get the best out of its performance. So if you're into high revs and precision racetrack handling, then here it is.